Okay, so guys, now that we understand imaginary numbers, we know how to add them, we know how to subtract them, we know how to multiply them, we know how to divide them, right? Now let's look at complex numbers now as a whole, right? So I have Z1 here. Remember, complex number is a sum of real and imaginary numbers, right? So my real number here is 3 plus 2i, right? So 3 is a real part, 2i is an imaginary part. What makes it an imaginary part? Because of this I here, right? And then I have z2, right? My z2 is equivalent to negative 5 plus 6i, right? So guys, it can be any numbers, just that it has to be the real number and an imaginary number, right? And I also have Z3 here. So my Z3, it is 10 minus 7i, right? So I have three complex numbers. I have Z1, 3 plus 2i. I have Z2, minus 5 plus 6i. I have Z3, which is 10 minus 7i, right? So I'm going to teach you now how to add, how to subtract, how to multiply these complex numbers, right? And also how to divide, right? So let's look at the addition first, right? Addition. Let's look at addition first, right? So in addition, let's add the Z1 plus Z3 and see what are we going to get. And see how do we add these complex numbers, right? So Z1, what is Z1? Z1, basically it is 3 plus 2i. That is our Z1. What is our Z3? Our Z3, it is, so there is Z1 plus, it is 10 minus 7i. So this is how you add complex numbers. Real numbers, you add them together, and imaginary numbers, they also go together. So you can't add 2i and 10, and you can't add 3 and 7i. So you'll have to match the numbers, right? Right. So here we have, what are the real numbers here? We have 3 and what else? And 10. So these are both real numbers. So 3 plus 10 will give us what? 13. So we have 13. Right. Now we need to add what? Imaginary numbers. We have 2i and negative 7i. Take note of the signs, guys. That is positive 2i and that is negative 7i. So negative 7i plus 2i, or 2i minus 7i, is going to give us negative 5, negative 5i. So that is how you add complex numbers. Real parts goes together and imaginary numbers goes together. Please take note of the signs, right? Don't forget to take note of the signs. Okay, now let's add Z1 and Z2, right? So what is our Z1? Our Z1, it is 3 plus 2i, right? Plus our biggest operation sign, right? And then what is our Z2? Our Z2, it is minus 5 plus 6i. So the reason I'm putting brackets here, because I know most students will make a mistake, right? This is an addition, right? There is our addition. If you have an operation sign here, this operation sign will multiply each and every sign within your brackets, right? So basically this is going to be 3 plus 2i, positive times negative, it's going to be negative 5, positive times positive is going to be positive 6i. Now, same method we used earlier on. Real parts, we have 3 and negative 5. Our imaginary parts, we have 2 and 6. Those are our imaginary parts. We spot them by looking at this here, which is our I for imaginary, right? Then 3 minus 5, it's going to be negative 2. Positive 2i plus 6i, it's going to give us 8i. So this is how you add complex numbers. Now we're going to look at the subtraction. Let's look at the subtraction. There is our subtraction. Let's subtract Z3 and Z1. So now we are subtracting. It's Z3 minus Z1. What is our Z3? It is 10 minus 7i minus. What is our Z1? It is 3 plus 2i. Right. So the reason we put in brackets because of this sign here, that is still going to multiply each and every term within Z1, right? So basically we have 10 minus 7i minus 3 minus 2 minus 2i, right? Now, same method we used earlier on. Real numbers, they go together. Imaginary numbers, they also go together. So 10 minus 3, that is going to give us what? 7. Minus 7i minus 2i, that is going to give us what? Minus 9. Minus 9i. So this is how you subtract imaginary. This is how you subtract complex numbers, right? Imaginary numbers, they go together. As well as real numbers, they go together. Now let's look at the multiplication of complex numbers. We are looking at multiplication of complex numbers. So let's multiply Z1 and Z2. So what are we going to get here? What is our Z1? This is 3 plus 2i multiplied by our Z2. It is minus 5 plus 6i. So here we're going to use our basic method when it comes to multiplication or multiplying two binomials. Basically, we're going to use what is known as a FOIL method. First terms, outer terms, inner term, as well as last terms. So this is how it goes. First terms, 3 multiplied by negative 5. Those are the first. Our first term here on this bracket is 3. Our first term here, it is also minus 5. So we're going to have 3 multiplied by negative 5. It's going to give us what? Negative 15. Good. Right. And then outer terms. What are our outer terms? Our outer terms, it is 3 and 6i. So if you say 3 multiplied by 6i, 3 multiplied by 6, it is what? It's going to be 18. So we have positive 18i, right? And then inner terms, what are our inner terms? It is 2i and negative 5. So if you say 2i multiplied by negative 5, it's going to give us what? Negative 10i, right? And lastly, our last terms. What are our last terms? It is 2i and 6i. So 2 times 6, that is going to give us what? That is going to give us 12, right? We have positive 12. I multiplied by I, it's going to give us what? I squared. Good. I squared, right? Right. So we have negative 15. Now we are trying to collect like terms, right? We see I here and I here, so it's going to be negative 18. It's going to be positive 18i minus 10i. So 18 minus 10 is going to give us 8. So we're going to have positive 8i plus 12. Now here's the tricky part. Remember, I squared is equivalent to what? Remember, I, it is the square root of a negative. So if you square square root of negative 1, you're going to get what? You're going to get negative 1, right? So I squared is basically negative 1. So now you have what? Negative 15 plus 8i plus 12 into negative 1. So if we continue further with our simplification, we're going to have negative 15 plus, remember, it is now 8i minus positive 12 times negative 1 is going to give us negative, right? So we have minus 12. So negative 15 minus 12. You see, we are still able to collect like terms, which is minus 15 and minus 12. Minus 15 and minus 12 are our real parts, right? Or real numbers. So you're going to end up having what? Negative 20, negative 27 plus 8 plus 8i. So this is what we get if we are multiplying what? If we are multiplying a complex number z1 multiplied by the complex number z2. See, if you multiply two complex numbers, you end up having what? A single complex number, which is minus 27 plus 8i. Now let's look at another example. Okay, right now let's multiply z2 by z3, right? What is our z2? Our z2, it is negative 5 plus 6i. What is our z3? Our z3, it is 10 minus 7i, right? Right, now let's do some multiplication, right? Let's do some multiplication. Right, so we're still going to use the same method we used earlier on, which is called FOIL method. First term, outer term, inner term, last terms, right? So let's start with the first terms. Negative 5 multiplied by 10, which is going to give us negative 50. Right. That is our first term, right? Now let's go to our outer term. Our outer term, it is negative 5 multiplied by negative 7, right? So negative times negative is going to give us positive. 5 multiplied by 7, it is going to be 35, right? So it's going to be 35. It's going to be 35. There is our imaginary number. It's going to be 35i, right? Then we go to what now? We're going to our inner terms, right? What are our inner terms? It is 6 and 10. We have 6i multiplied by 10, which is going to give us what? 60i, right? Plus 60i. Now we have our last term, which is 6i and negative 7i. So 6 times 7 is going to give us 42. Take note of the signs. This one is positive and the other one is negative. So we're going to get what? Negative 42i squared. Remember, we are multiplying. I times I is going to be I squared, right? Then now we continue further by doing what? Adding any like terms that we see here, right? Negative 50, it is the only real part that we have here so far, plus 35 plus 60, that is going to give us what? 95. So we have 95i minus 42. Remember, what is our I squared? Our I squared is equivalent to negative 1. Right. So if we continue further, what are we getting? So basically it's negative 50, right? Plus 95i, right? Negative 42 multiplied by negative 1, it's going to be positive 40, positive 42, right? Now, we have two real numbers and one imaginary number, which is 95. We have negative 50 and we have positive 40. So if you say 42 minus 50 or negative 50 plus 42, you're going to get negative 8, right? So you're going to get negative 8. So negative 8 plus 95i is our final answer. So you see, if you multiply the two complex numbers, you're going to end up getting one complex number, right? Now we're going to look at division, right? We're going to look at division on the following chapter. Thanks for watching.